all this dope up in the trap house. We fuck all you bitches at the trap house. I can't trust you, I can't give you real address. I can't trust you, I can't give you real address. It don't mean that be like Jerry Stacker. I might fall in love with my trap house.
Hello everybody out there on YouTube, this is your man Shadicstick dropping some hot firaga on the mic, and today I'm joined by my cohort, my neighbor, Aliahsan. Introduce yourself, my neighbor.
Hey guys, Ali here, back at it again with another collab with my boy Shadicstick. Yeah.
That's all you gotta say, man? No plugs, man? You ain't gonna run off the plug twice? Come on, man.
The plugs go at the end, man. The plugs go at the end.
You right. But anyways, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 15. It's been a while since I've done Final Fantasy on my channel. When I say it's been a while, it's been like a month since I've actually done anything on my channel. It's been dead. But in all honesty, I'm here with my boy Ali. We're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 15. The title of the video, you know, basically says it itself. Final Fantasy 15, a retrospective. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 15 from the beginning of development, or the conception of 13 versus 13, my bad, to 15 as a game after it's launched, you know. And we're gonna have a second part on Ali's channel called Final Fantasy 15. Well, not gonna be called this, but it's gonna be addressing Final Fantasy 15 forward up until, you know, possibly Final Fantasy 16. So if you would start off, my boy Ali, I'll let you start, man. You the guest here.
I got it. I'll take the reins. But as we all know, Final Fantasy Versus XIII was actually announced in 2006. 2006 was about like what, like a decade ago, about a century ago. Shadic,
basically.
That's, okay, just to give you a nice visual aid. I don't even think the iPhone 1 was even announced during that time, was it?
I think it was just being announced, bro.
Announced, literally. So this was a time of big phones, and YouTube was not even the same, as we know. Good old YouTube. But it was announced in 2006. It was very, very quiet for a while, because I think Versus 13 and Final Fantasy 13 got the same trailer at the same kind of event. But as we know, 13 came out first. Versus 13's trailer, first off, was more conceptual, and then 2011 hit, and its second trailer came around. I believe this trailer was more completed. It was his first gameplay kind of reveal, and I really liked that trailer. That trailer had a lot of good things going on with it. It showed some environments, and I think that's when production kind of took a heap forward and everything like that. And then we got some little things for a while, and then I think around that 2013 time frame, we finally got the re-reveal of 13 versus 13, turning into 15. That was awesome, and then it went quiet again until towards the very, very end of 2014, where we got the doozy, the transformation of 15. Because now it was more or less very different from what we saw in 2013. It turned into more of what we kind of saw for the Sky demo, and that's when we got the TGS 2014 trailer. And then 2015 was decent. It was pretty good with a lot of stuff. 2015 was a pretty big year. Wouldn't you say, Shadic?
Yeah. I want to talk actually more about going back to Final Fantasy Versus 13, because that's when I heard about the game, when it was Versus 13. I heard about it way back when, especially when the PS3 was first. This was when the PS3 360 and the Wii were first, coming out. So when I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, I want this game, especially since we got later on down the line, back in around 2011, they were announcing stuff. They were telling us all these things, they were like, oh, you're gonna be able to play during most of the cutscenes. They were like, it's 70%. The cutscenes are 70% in-game, and then the rest are 30% FMVs. It's gonna play Kingdom Hearts, etc., etc. And when I was as a kid, this was hyping me up, man. My little Shadic body was, I mean, it was not little, but it was still, my Shadic body was not ready. I was I was hyped for the game, and you know, even more so when it got announced as Final Fantasy 15. But back in the days when it was Versus 13, it was kind of more elusive because, as we already know, Versus 13, as in its name, was supposed to be the complete opposite of Final Fantasy 13 in a lot of ways, especially with the way I want to say necessarily the way the art style was, but the way the characters were done or designed. Like in 13, everybody has really light colored clothes, you know, people aren't really edgy until the lightning returns, whereas everybody in Versus 13 is edgy from the get-go, you know what I mean? Like, being a kid seeing all that edge, I was like, this game's gonna be amazing, my boys, like, let's go. So I as a fan was really hyped for 13. I'm really glad the way the game came out, as far as like it being good. It could have been better. Could have been a lot better. And I think this is because they passed it off to Tabata, because Tabata is not necessarily the best person in the world. He cares about the game, but I don't think he's just as far as a director, I don't think he's the best director you could have, because his track record has been good and bad, because we've gotten things like Type 0 HD, and we have but then again we have Crisis Core. So while I think Tabata can do good, he just as easily can do bad. So looking at the track record of the game and it being up to 15, I'm really happy how it turned out, especially since even though not all the dreams were realized from Versus 13, I like that they still kept a lot of the things, or at least kept the style of, you know, how the characters were, how they looked at least, or just the aesthetic of the world. How do you feel, Ali?
I mean, you brought up a lot of great points, definitely. I mean, the difference, and when we're talking about, Tabata's vision and regarding the Nomura's vision of, like, you know, Versus 13 going into 15, because I feel like Tabata was the main guy behind 15, its final product, but even, like, you know, a strong force, even, because most people say 2013, but let's be honest, he kind of was the director moving up in 2012, because that's how development really works. It's like, not just like, oh, straight up, oh, he's the director now. No, it's kind of a band-aid effect, you know. It slowly rips off the band-aid, being Nomura.
Yeah.
And kind of how we stand right now. Regarding the different visions, I really, as a lot of people did, you know, enjoyed Nomura's vision of kind of the battle system, the story, the overall kind of tone of the story. And then looking towards, like, going into 15, I'm not gonna say Tabata's vision was trash or anything like that, but it was extremely good. It's just that, I don't know, it left people with a lot of expectations. Like, I think it was marketing's fault too, to be honest. It kind of really overhyped 15 for expectations that it shouldn't have been overhyped for. Because if we never got Versus 13 trailers or anything like that, and we just got the 2014 trailer moving forward, I think people would have saw 15 as a better product than how they see it now. How do you feel?
Yeah, because when we look at, like you just said, first off, Nomura is one of the gaming gods in my head. So seeing his vision taken, go ahead.
No, he's like top 100. He's like in the top 100 directors of all time, I believe, and they did in a magazine or something.
Yeah, like he's like Nomura's vision. You know, I really, you know, hope they come back and, you know, do something like that, maybe as DLC for 15 or something, or just have a separate game on its own that is Versus 13. You know, which I doubt they'll do, but still, like, when you do start seeing Tabata's vision slowly, and like you said, it's not bad, but what we could have ended up with could have probably been a much better game or a far worse game. You know, we don't know, but when especially when we look at, like, the 2012 2013ish, you know, going into the sky, we saw what was left over. That's the leftovers of what, you know, Nomura want, because he wanted it to be like, you switch to, like, say for instance, we take the weapons, all right, he wanted to be directional inputs as far as you moving the analog stick during your combos, and that didn't work out real well. So Tabata changed that. He changed a lot of things. The gameplay is nowhere near as fast as what it appeared to be back in the day. Back in the day, it was like Kingdom Hearts type of fast, where when you put in the inputs, it's not like, it felt less auto combo-y, but it looked like it was more of something you do the move, you continuously keep going with the moves and the combos, something like a Berserk type of feel versus like not 13's but 15's kind of, it's slower paced, but at the same time the moves have bigger impacts. Like when you hit an attack, it feels meaty. It doesn't feel it. Back when we saw Nomura's vision, it's like he has this vision where like combos, the end of the combo is meaty, whereas Tabata, a lot of the moves you see in a lot of games he's worked on, a lot of the moves will wind up being each attack itself will feel meaty instead of a full combo feeling meaty. And I like both ways of thinking, but I prefer Nomura's way because it's kind of that slow build up to a finishing move, say for instance. But at the same time, I gotta respect Tabata's outlook on 15, because like I said before, had he not been on the team, I don't think 15 would have got done. Because when we look at it, like Nomura's working on Kingdom Hearts, he's working on all these other projects, whereas I think I'm actually glad that Tabata came and actually finished the game. Did he have the best vision for the game? We don't know. Would it have been different? Yes, it would have. But at the end of the day, I think we got a good product. But had it just been from what we saw with Tabata exclusively, I feel like our opinion, a lot of people's opinions of the game would have been a lot higher. And had the game not been announced so long ago, it'd have been higher. Because it's like 10 years and you have issues in a game. It's like, oh, you can't have issues in a game, and it's been in development for 10 years. Admittedly, it's changed a lot over those 10 years, but still, it's 10 years. People use the excuse that it's a completely different game, but you still had 10 years to make this game. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I feel like if we only saw the stuff from 2011, 12ish on forward, a lot of people have very different opinions of the games.
I mean, if I have to put my kind of like 2 cents on that, regarding like the whole change in because like you're right, it's a huge thing regarding 10 years. I mean, the demographic could change, so much things could change in 10 years. In addition, I think that was why they had to make the ultimate decision, like to even just switch consoles, because remember, it was originally planned for PS3 and switched to PS4. So I don't know, there's just so much factors going into it, but overall, like when you're just looking at the timeline, there was just so much content back then, and then they hit this turning point in which they changed a lot of content, and that was when Tabata came on board. And I really respect Tabata because he really did finish the game. He was a great director in a sense that he could get the job done and he gets projects done. And it's almost, I kind of feel bad for Tabata too, because imagine you were given such a small time restraint and a restrictive one as well, and just forced to basically consolidate 3 titles into one. It's an ambitious task to be given, man.
It is. Like he had a heavy load on his shoulders. And, the game has their legit criticisms of the game, but there's some things like people will point out and it'll be like, oh no, it's not allowed to do this or not allowed to do that. And I feel like a lot of things he envisioned for the game, or I would feel like he envisioned for the game, didn't come to reality because of the time constraints. Because they announced it. I think another issue was them announcing it for September. Had they not announced it for September and announced it for had it come out in 2017, I feel like the game would be in another tier on its own, because the story would have had much better writing than it does now. Because admittedly, I don't think they should have changed the story, but they changed it, and it's kind of dookie. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. The story's trash, but because it just has too many plot holes. And like you just said, he had a grandiose task. He got it done, but I don't feel like it was the best of his ability nor to the team's ability because of time restraints. Like you just said, you can't just expect someone to take a project that was supposed to be 3. It wasn't originally supposed to be 3 different games or something like that.
3, and it was weirder because they even got insight that 2014 was supposed to be the original year that 15 would release, and that was extremely crazy to say, because now it's 2017, and it's huge.
it's been 2 months since the game's really, like, when you think about it, like, it's been 2 months, like, legit, and that's insane. That's insane. I don't know, like, when you look at 15's, like, the stages of development that it's taken, like, we may be rambling here, but, like, it's sort of, you're taken back by when you look at the things you've done, how far they've come. Like, they've come a long way, no matter what anyone says. Like, they've come a long way with the UI. They've come a long way with the characters, the story writing. They changed voice actors. I know a lot of times they've changed a lot of characters. It's not like my boy Prompto. My boy Prompto originally looked like he was a Jonas brother. Now he looks like he's out of One Direction. Well, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna leave Prompto alone. But they've done a lot to the game over the course of its development, and regardless of if we're disappointed or, you know, our expectations have been met or they've been surpassed, I think we got to give respect to the team for what they've done, for taking on such a big task at hand and continuing to, you know, produce content for the game and add on to the game, add on to the world. They're trying to build it up, especially, you know, with the addition of free content on top of paid content. That's not something that you see with a lot of games. A lot of games will just be like, oh, you want this nice little feature? Nah, you gotta pay for it. Whereas, like, you know, they're really only giving you, like, with the paid content, they're giving you like festivals and stuff. But at the same time, with the free content, they're giving you new modes. Well, not necessarily new modes, but new features, etc. in the game. You know, that's I gotta respect the team for doing that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to have the little selfie mode they're adding in the game, but they decided, hey, this would be cool. You know, we want to give back to the people who supported us. You know what I mean?
I mean, regarding like you said a lot of like what I would have said. Like, I mean, regarding, you know, everything from the fan servers that they provided, you know, all the things that they done. I mean, at the end of the day, we do know this was an incomplete game and everything like that, but from what they're doing right now and from what they're trying to do, at the end of the day, they understand. I think very much everyone on the team understands that, okay, we kind of did release an incomplete product, but look, at the end of the day, it sold very well and everything, and now we want to give back even further on because you've been with us and so much people have bought this game already. Let's kind of finish what we started, and they're doing that with the paid content as well as the free content, and I think it's really, I would rather have this than what they kind of did with 13, if that's a little bit bad, because, you know, when you think about 13 had it literally what 15 like falls in and falters in, 13 kind of did a better job, and vice versa. I mean, you look at the story, 13, say what it is, it has a very fleshed out story. It had 3 titles to really flesh out that story, and the open world in 13, not at all. Very bad open world. It feels like hallways.
It's a hallway. It's a hallway simulator.
At the end of the day, they did make a versus 13 in its own right. But, you know, I do appreciate that, and you know, they're gonna flesh out the story. They promised that. They even pointed out characters that they would flesh out, like Ravis, and other characters such as, like, you know, the women of Final Fantasy 15, Luna, Freya, Iris. I have to say Iris, but like, it's Iris. It's Iris. And you know, I'm really happy to see moving forward with Final Fantasy 15, and you know, on my channel, you know, we're gonna be talking about, you know, 15 going into 16, and I'm absolutely gonna talk about that, like, you know, longevity and future content of 15, as well as, you know, stuff regarding Final Fantasy 16 as well. But I guess that's basically my opinion right there. And yeah, and anything else, Shadic?
No, there's really not much else. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. My boy Ali, here, come on, run off the plug twice, bro. Come on, run off the plug twice. It's your turn.
Twice? I get an opportunity. Okay, guys, remember to check out my channel, my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel, my Twitter channel, my every channel. Every channel there is, you know, all the channels. But yeah, definitely check out the video. Me and Shadic are also kind of culminating down at Aliahsan channel. that actually is my YouTube link. You know, it's youtube.com/Aliahsan channel. So yeah, enjoy.
This is me, your man Shadicstick, and I'm out. Peace. Kiss, kiss.
Peace.
Can't wait.